Welcome everyone to another episode of Stephen Follows Instructions. You're seeing my left screen, my right screen, my video, my browser, and I needed to set this all up again because OBS just came up with a new version of its platform. So, yay! Looks real nice. For some reason I still can't get my second video camera to work, but one day. Anyhow, I'm just getting going right now, so I need to find the URL for this so that I can actually advertise it, so that there's at least some possibility of people watching. So I'll go to my channel. Here we go. This is our current view. Work, but one day. Anyhow, I'm just getting going. There we go. We don't need to repeat my voice twice, obviously. Although clearly the voice is working, so let's get that out there. So Mastodon first. There's the URL. And just grab the title. Put this up. Live streaming my work. On Stephen Follows Instructions. There we go. Now. There we go. We'll publish that, and I copied it so that I can also put it up on Facebook, on Twitter. So we'll just pop over to Twitter and we'll do that. And go to the Downs account, because that's where I like to reserve the OL Daily account for OL Daily posts. There we go. So, right. So let me just adjust this camera here so you get more of me and less of the wall. There we go. And we'll listen to the train in the background. As you can see, I've sort of reorganized my office. It looks a bit different than it has in previous videos. I like this better. The wall behind me is actually closer to me, which is kind of interesting. The window's to my right now. I guess to your left. I'm not sure what that looks like to you. So this is the view out the window today. I don't know if we'll get a good view because it's pretty bright. All that white is snow. It's a snow day today. Anyhow, so I'm just going to move the live streaming app over to here. So, and this is the way I set things up typically when I'm working. So, and I'll show you that so you can see. So, I have the OBS application and the live streaming application here on the left screen, whatever I'm working on the right screen. And if I need to zoom in on the browser, I can. If I can, and that's a nice way of making it big too. Well, for now. Anyhow, okay. So here's the right screen. This is what we'll be focusing on. I'll need to. Let's make that video a bit better. Is that better? Yeah, that's better. So, get myself in there, in the picture. All right, so what are we up to? Today we're going to deploy a Node application with SSL, and we're going to use NGINX as a proxy. Now, I first looked for this and I found this article, but the first thing I saw was this post was written in 2016. I wish they'd put the date right at the top here, and then I'd never be fooled by that. But at least I didn't go down this garden path. So I did a search, and you see what happens when you search for this. Google gives me its recommendation, but that's the site that I just saw. So Google's default recommendation here with its steps is 7 years old. Bad, Google, bad. So I still searched, but I searched in a time-limited way to the last year, and this is what I found. Practical steps to deploy a Node.js app with NGINX and SSL. Now, all due caution, I have not gone beyond what you see here on this page. Have not. So, this might not work. But hey, that's the whole concept of following instructions, right? And this is, after all, Stephen follows instructions. So let's go. So yeah, and this too, it's about how to automate application deployments. So there's going to be something like that too. Developers enjoy or employ continuous integration, continuous delivery tools like NGINX. It provides load balancing, acts as a reverse proxy server, does caching, etc. So, and that's really useful for something like Node.js because I'm not sure if it's even possible, but it's certainly a bear to deploy Node.js in a container, especially with full SSL and all the like, right? Especially if you're working in a cloud environment. You want to handle your SSL in one container, an NGINX container, and then your application, one or more applications in your application containers. So, all right, prerequisites. I like this. So, what do we need? A GitHub account. We do have a GitHub account, and I'm signed into it, and interesting. Never ever use pixelation as a redaction technique. Yeah, okay. Right. So I have that. A DigitalOcean account. I do have that. I set it up a while ago. Now I haven't set up properly keyed access to it, but I'll sign into it here so that, well, I'll sign into it when I need to. I can't even find where to sign into it. Sign up. Oh, I'm already signed into it. Okay. So I don't need the little advertisement. So as you can see, I currently have a little test droplet, but I'm not running anything in particular. And I haven't really looked at this recently. It's just all payment receipts, etc. I don't know how to clear those. All right, so I have a DigitalOcean account. Node.js installed. Where? Here? I guess. All right. So, would it hurt if I installed Node on my Windows computer? Let's see if I already have it installed just in case. So, the easiest way, we'll jump to the next step, or down here, Visual Studio Code Editor. All right. So, there it is. It's an awesome platform. You can see on the left-hand side are menus, directories. Here it's a marketplace for extensions. In this big upper right window is the actual place where you're doing text editing. And then down here in the lower right is your terminal, which gives you command line interaction with your computer. So we do have Visual Studio Code installed. Here it is, and here you can see my directories, whatever I'm working on in the terminal down here. So here it is, right? So I'm running in PowerShell. I could do other things, but I'll just use PowerShell for now. Let's see if I do have Node installed on this machine. Yes, I do. version 16, so I have a nice recent version of Node. See, if I have npm installed as well. Yep. Warn config location. Yeah, okay, good enough. So version 8.15, that's good. Alright, so Node.js is installed. Docker, is Docker installed? Yes, it is. We'll go back to Visual Studio Code and I'll show that. So let's just type Docker and see, it'll do stuff. Docker-v for the version. There we go. Version 20. I don't know if that's real up to date, but it's up to date enough. So we have Docker, and if we didn't have Docker, it's actually a pretty easy install. I don't need my email for this video, so I'll just close that. It's pretty easy install right here. I like how they've given us links right to the install windows. That's good practice. I like that. SSH server installed. Oh. Okay. Pretty sure I don't have it. I might. Okay, if you downloaded... Okay, this is Microsoft. Prerequisites check. I have PowerShell, yes. Install OpenSSH. Let's just see. Oh, I see. It's to have the client on my computer. Oh, okay. Very good. So I thought it was for a server, but I don't think it. Well, it is sort of, I guess. All right. Okay, open settings, select apps, and then select optional features. So let's do that. We'll open settings, we'll select apps, and we'll select optional features. There it is. Okay. Now what? Scan the list to see if OpenSSH is already installed. Okay. OpenSSH client, but not the server, it looks like. Okay. So let's see. Add a feature. So let's add the feature for OpenSSH. Server. Okay, so let's go down here. OpenSSH server. Next. Install. And I sure hope it doesn't make me restart my computer, because that would interrupt my video. So it's doing that. And then see, after it's done that, return to apps and optional features, confirm that it's listed, and then open the services desktop app. Huh. Okay. Let's wait till it installs then. It's still installing. I don't know why it's stalled, but this is a classic Microsoft timeline, right? It's not going to indicate progress per se. We're moving fits and starts. Okay, well, we'll leave that doing its thing. I'll come back to our list. So let's come back to our list. A domain name and hosting. I do have that. So I have several domain names, and I have hosting. on Reclaim. Visual Studio Code Editor in the terminal. Okay. So, demo. Setting up the Node.js application. So, for this tutorial, you will use a Node.js application built with Express running on port 3000 that displays the text Node application in the browser. Perfect. That's exactly what I want to do. So, get the application by cloning the repository on GitHub and then run npm install. So, that's instructions to how to clone. Here is our sample Node app. So we'll take a quick look at this. So there's the app itself. It runs Express. It sends a message and it listens on the port, and that's it. If I can do that, I can do everything. So that's perfect. It's not just a minimal viable product, it's the minimal product entirely. Okay, so let's close that. Okay, so get the application by cloning the repository on GitHub. Then run npm install. Okay, I can just clone it directly from GitHub. That's what I'll do. So, how do you do that? So, let's copy the URL. And now we'll come into Visual Studio Code, and what we're gonna do. I like to do these things in an organized way, so I keep all of my code projects in the same directory, code projects. So there's my Node MySQL. I'm just going to create a new directory here, new folder, because they call them folders. Node SSL is what we'll call it. Alright, so now in Visual Studio Code, I'm going to open a folder, and the folder, of course, will be the one that I just created. Select folder. So here it is. It's a brand new clean folder. There's nothing in it. We'll close the getting started thing. Okay, we'll open a terminal, new terminal, and now we'll clone the repository. How do you do that? Git clone. Doing this from memory. How's that? And then my repository. I think that's right. We'll find out. Alright, and it's done. So, sample Node app. Here's our app. And here's the package. That tells it what the dependencies are, Express and no daemon. So that's pretty good. Alright, so we've cloned our repository into our directory. And okay, and let's actually go into that directory. CD sample. Okay, so now in our terminal, we're in that directory. You can sort of see it there at the bottom of the screen. Hey, that's kind of neat. When I do this, it looks like I'm looking at, so maybe I'm looking at the top of the screen there. I'm looking at the bottom. Right there is where my directory is. Okay. All right, so how are we doing now? Let's come back to, let's check and see how that installation is going. Installed, restart required. Okay, so let's hope I don't need it, because I don't want to have to stop the video to do a restart. So, yeah. So let's go look at, let's reload this page. Anyways, apps, optional features, and we should see, oh, okay, no, it's not yet. We need to restart for it to show up in the list. Okay, so if I need to use that server, I'll stop the video and run a restart. That's one of the risks of doing this sort of thing. And then we'll have a part 2 on the video. It's not a big deal. It's actually probably good to break up these videos a bit anyways. I tend to go on too long. So I can see here I've had a couple of views, very short term duration. Stream health looks fine. Yep, stream is healthy. Analytics, here are my settings. So, but this is typical viewership for one of my Stephen Follows Instructions videos. I've learned to live with that because the main thing what's going on here is the way I look at it is I'm providing grist for the future artificial intelligence mill to look at this video, look at the transcript, and see how I work through something like this. All right, host does not exist. Something I'm not working on. All right, well, that's something I'm not working on. There we go. Okay, once the node source repository is enabled, install Node.js and npm. Am I still in the right place here? No, this is something different. Let's close this so I don't confuse myself. Let's close this so I don't confuse myself. I've lost my... Am I in the wrong window? No? It's way too easy to confuse myself. Okay, here we go. So I have this other window running, that's the problem. There it is. I'm just going to close this entirely so I don't confuse myself more anymore. And I'm going to close a few windows here. I should do this, before. I need to keep those open. I'm going to come back to them. All right. So, use the node, get the application by cloning it, then run npm install to install the dependencies, and then no daemon app.js to run the application locally. That's interesting. Usually I would just type, nodemon or no daemon. I don't know what that is. Let's see what that is. Normally I would just type. Oh, okay. It's a tool that helps develop Node.js based applications by automatically restarting the Node application when file changes in the directory are detected. Does not require any other changes to your code or method of development. It's just a replacement wrapper for Node. Lovely. So, yeah, because normally I would just type node app.js. So, okay, so run npm install, and that's going to run an install script based on the contents of package.json. So let's go npm install. So here we go. Some depreciations, some vulnerabilities. Old lock file. Okay, the package lock file was created with an old version npm. This is a one-time fix-up. Please be patient. Okay, no problem. It's because this package.lock.json, that was actually part of the repository that I downloaded. Okay, so we've installed it, added 166 packages, and you can see all the modules up here. All of this now has been added to our directory. This is all of the Node modules, including, we'll see here, Express somewhere. Yeah, there it is, etc. So this is all the out-of-the-box Node modules, plus Express, plus all of Express's dependencies, etc. All right, next then, we're going to run the application nodemon app.js. So let's go back in here, nodemon app.js, find it, VS Code, nodemon app.js, and it should say listening on port 3000. And it does not. The term nodemon is not recognized, etc., etc. So let's just try node. Yeah. Now, Windows Defender Firewall has blocked some features of this. We're going to allow access. It's because it's listening on port 3000. So, is it working? Well, yeah, we're sure it's working, but let's prove that it's working. We'll go to localhost 3000. There's node application, a big, huge text. So, let's see, node on Windows. Nodemon is a tool. So installation, let's, how to run node, nodemon, or nodemon. Reload automatically. Yeah, that's nice, but alright. To install, get node.js. Okay, that -G is the thing that's depreciated. So let's just, this terminal window now is taken up. Well, let's do a Control-C. That stops the application. So npm install nodemon c config global equals global, use location equals global instead. Now let's see, nodemon app.js. Now it works, and now if I make any changes to my application, so there was a missing instruction there. This is really common with instructions I've found. So here we are. So it didn't actually tell us to install nodemon. It just assumed that it would be installed, but it wasn't installed. But that was pretty easy to fix. Just did a quick Google search. All right. So I passed my first Stevens Follows Instructions test. All right, practical steps to deploy the Node.js, the JS app with NGINX and SSL. It took me a long time before I called this NGINX. I used to call it NGINX, and then I realized, oh, NGINX. All right, to begin, you need to set up the SSH keys that you will use to authenticate the droplet you create on DigitalOcean. So, once you have your SSH keys, log into your DigitalOcean account and then follow the steps. Now, I covered this in another video. What I did is, because it's a real pain to set up your SSH keys on Windows, although I think you can do it now using WinSCP. WinSCP is the new I don't think it's new, but it's the FTP client for Windows. I used to use FileZilla, now I use this. It integrates with the Windows SSL client called PuTTY, and PuTTY is often used to create SSL keys. or SSH keys on Windows. What I did instead is I have Windows Subsystem for Linux installed, and so as a result of installing that, I have Ubuntu as an application I can simply run. So that's what I did, right? I just ran Ubuntu on Windows. It's really easy to generate keys on Ubuntu. SSH keys. Right, so I'll run the SSH keygen command. So here we are in the Ubuntu SSH keygen, right? And then, so generating a key enter file in which to save the key, and it'll save it in this directory. Or that's the default, is where it'll save it. So pick something that's less hidden, like the root directory. And keys. Enter a passphrase if you want. Enter it again. Permission denial. I guess I couldn't put it in keys. Where am I now? Home down. So let's put it there. So home downs. No. Okay. Home downs keys. Passphrase, there's the key, right? So now if I went to the directory keys, oh, okay, they're right in here, okay. So I have keys and then keys.pub. So keys, that'll be my private keys, and keys.pub, that's my public key. So I would share keys.pub with the application that I'm using, and then I'd use keys as a private key. But of course I'm using Windows, not WSL. So where do you find that? Well, I did a Google search, right? Find WSL files on Windows. Right, so how to access your WSL files on Windows 10. You can find them. You have to type in a command in Explorer, as I recall. There it is. WSL dollars. So I'll do that. So we'll open up Explorer, File Explorer, and then WSL dollars. And here's my Ubuntu. Here's home, downs, and there's keys and keys pub, right? So I can take those. Now I can just copy them, Control C. I can put them wherever I want. So let's put them someplace useful, like in code projects. That's not where I put them before. I forget where I put them before. Doesn't matter, I'll put them in code projects now. Right, so I'll make a new directory. New folder. SSL keys. That's nice and obscure, right? And now I'll paste them, and there are my keys. So now I can use these keys for any future project. Now I had already done that in another project, but there we go. All right, so having done that, let's go back to what we were doing. Practical steps. So that's how you set up your SSH keys. DigitalOcean has instructions here, but they're for Ubuntu. And if you're not using Ubuntu, that's not very helpful. So what I just showed you is how to do it for Windows. All right. So now we're going to create a droplet on DigitalOcean. So in DigitalOcean, we'll create the droplet by clicking droplet. So we're going to go to DigitalOcean. So DigitalOcean. Okay. DigitalOcean.com. We're going to log in. I'm already logged in. We're going to create a droplet. New droplet. So I just click on new droplet. We will, of course, pick Canada, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Okay, create droplet. Oh, this is different. How come it's different for me? Oh, I see, I did it a bit different. Okay. Alright, so here we are. Create in the drop down, it said, and then droplets. We're going to do it exactly the way they did it. $56 a month. So I don't know what that is, but it seems to be an ad. Alright, so let's pick my data center anyways, Toronto. Okay, and then choose an image. So let's come back to our practical steps. Okay, choose an image. We're going to pick Ubuntu. Okay, Ubuntu is 22. That's good enough. Alright. And then we're going to choose the $12 plan. Let's see if it's the same as before. Choose size. Dedicated CPU. Here we go. Oh, it's up to $14 now. Alright, so we'll take the $14 plan. $14 a month. There we go. That's much better than $56 a month, right? Okay. And then the SSH keys as my authentication. So I'm going to SSH key. I already have some keys uploaded, but I have no idea where they are. So new SSH key. Add public SSH key. So can I upload this? I guess I'll have to open it. So here we go. So keys pub. Let's open this. We'll open it with. Now I use Notepad Pro for stuff like this. You could use Notepad, I suppose. I like Notepad Pro. It's just any plain text stuff. It's just brilliant for stuff like that. So there it is. I'll copy it with a Control-C. We'll come back here to the interface. We'll paste it. And we'll give it a name. Name cannot be blank. And so it's going to be code project. Project SSL key. And that'll remind me where to find it. Add SSL key. Alright, so that seems to have worked. Now they're going to recommend some options like a database, things like that for $15 a month. Kind of like that, but we don't need to do that just at this point. We could do backups for $280, finalize details, one droplet. Okay, so we're going to call this Node SSL test. Okay. Project, I only have one project. Alright, so let's continue here. So, right, so this This is how they did it, right? Cat to show the content of it, and then click new SSL key. Here's their pasting of it in. I added my key, gave it a name, and we chose choose a name your droplet by choosing a host name. This was slightly different for us. Okay, no, we called it a host name. All right, I called it Node SSL test. They're calling it first droplet, whatever. Create droplet. We will successfully create the droplet. All right, so let's do that. Create droplet. So now it's just creating. There it goes. Looks like it's created. Let's just click on it and see. So, all right. Does not seem to have an IP4. Maybe it's still creating. It looks like it's still creating. Yeah. There we go. There's the internet address for it. I could give it IP6 as well. There's a private IP for it. Reserved IP, console, whatever. Okay. Now the console would take me directly into SSH, right? Update droplet console. So to enable the droplet console, log into your droplet as root or as a user with sudo access. Okay. Now let's see if it sent me any email with instructions. Sometimes it does, or sometimes I should generalize. Sometimes these services do. No, I don't see anything new yet. Oh, here we go. Nope, still nothing new. Okay. All right, so let's come back to our practical steps instruction. To log in, you'll need the IP address of the droplet, and then SSH root at your IP address. Okay. Oh, okay. Replace. They don't have the closing bracket on there. Doesn't matter, but okay. So let's get the address of our new droplet. There it is, right there. So I'll copy that, and now SSH root at your IP address. We'll go into the terminal, because why not? So the app's still sitting there listening on port 3000. We'll just Control-C to close that out. So now SSH, right? So SSH does exist. So SSH, Control-V, whoops, SSH root at, and now my address, and this key is not known by any other names. You want to connect? Yes. All right, and I'm in. I think permission denied. Why? Public key. Okay, well that's Let's try that again. Permission denied, public key. Oh, I hate working with keys. Okay, and log in. So Maybe there's a way to make my terminal use my private key when I'm logging in. So I'm going to do a search. Key-based authentication. Okay. Open. Okay. Okay. See that you notice what's happened here, right? We come back here, right? And it simply said, oh, it's way up above now. It simply said, set up your SSH keys without telling you how to do it. So I did it my way, and that didn't work. And that's really common with these kind of instructions, right? So let's try a different way. So we'll come back here. So key-based authentication in OpenSSH for Windows. So let's try SSH keygen for generating secure keys, and we'll do it right here in our terminal. The terminal is here. Okay, so SSH keygen, creating. Okay, and we'll just go with the default. No passphrase, no passphrase. Okay, there it is. The key's random image is, okay. The key's fingerprint is. So let's remember this URL, because we're going to need it in a second, or this file address. So Control C to copy it. Did that work? Yep, good. Okay. Just making sure I've copied it correctly. All right, so now okay, get the SSHD service. Oh, right, I'm reading too fast. Okay. By default, the SSHD service is set to start manually. Okay. So let's start it. No. Maybe not. So I probably have to save that. So let's put this. Okay, so now let's try that. Okay. And then start service SSHD. See, it's more useful if they actually show the prompts that I'm looking at, so it tells me whether I'm in the right place or not. Oh, well, what happened here? Okay. Still didn't work. Cannot find any service with SSHD. Maybe that's that server that I need. I don't know. Oh my goodness, this is annoying. I wonder if I can skip that by simply popping into the I don't know. You can't, can you? Log into your droplet as root. Is there not another way to log into your droplet? How to connect to droplets with SSH. Okay. You need the IP address, the default username on the server, which is root, the default password if you aren't using SSH keys. Okay, and I did that. How to connect to your droplet using OpenSSH. Okay, if you have multiple SSH keys, you may have to specify the path of your private key using the data. Okay, here we go. So let's do that. Alright, so come back to the terminal. Alright, except now it's C code project I think it might be just in, that might be it, right? Code project SSL keys. SSL keys, alright. SSL keys. Was that capitalized? I think it doesn't matter on Windows, but let's verify. Yeah, it was capitalized. And then now we come back here. Root at, and then my actual domain name, which was here. Copy this, paste. Alright, that should work. Nope. SSL keys, it's not accessible, no such file or directory. Alright, let's just try it this way. No such file or directory. It just says path to. Specify the path to the private key in Windows. What was that command? Because we'll just use the search on that command. Oh, I see. Yeah. SSL keys is not accessible. SSH-I. Okay, so Control F, SSH-I, no. Well, let's try it from Linux. We'll open up the Ubuntu window, the Windows subserver for Linux. Is it already running? No, I closed it, right? Okay. And cd home -s. I'm not sure I'm on the same machine even. go. No, it's a different machine. Alright, we'll close that. All apps. I don't know why I have two. I only had one a few moments ago. CD home. CD downs. No, it's still the same. Oh, crap. All right, we'll do it this way. Let's kill this. We're gonna back up. It's never easy, is it? Let's create a new droplet. Create it in Toronto. Ubuntu. 14 a month. SSH. Okay, now I need to generate my keys. And now I'm doing this in my Windows. Okay, so let's go to SSH key gen or something like that. Come back here. SSH key gen. So SSH key gen in my Linux. Enter the file. We're just going to put it in keys. Put it in hometowns keys. Don't know where my old one went. No passphrase, no passphrase. Okay, so there it is. Okay. Cat keys.pub. There's the text. That's all cat does, is it? Gives you the exact text of the file. Just displays it right there. Okay, so let's go back to my droplet. Okay, new SSH key. SSH key content. WSL. So home downs keys. Add SSH key. All right. Don't need any of that. Quantity tags. Test. Create droplet. All right. So it's creating my droplet. This other one I can destroy, and I might as well. Destroy. Okay, droplet has been destroyed. So here's my current droplet. $14 a month. New IP address. Okay, now. Okay. So now I should be able to do this. Let's get that address. Copy it. Come back here. SSH $I $I and then the address of my keys file, and then root at and my IP. Yes. And I'm in. That simple. Okay. Okay, so given that I can do this, I can probably do it on Windows as well. But the -I and then keys, I'm not sure exactly how I would go about doing that. Let's see. Well, never mind. I'm in it on Windows subsystem for Linux. Good enough for me. Let's go back to what we were doing. Okay. So here we are. So really, if we're using keys, this should have been SSH-I, the location of my key, and then root, and then my IP address. So this instruction here is a bit misleading, right? Maybe they have some way of having previously defined where their private key is and made that work for SSH all the time. I don't know. They didn't say. So I had to declare explicitly where it was and use that -I prompt. So that's worth remembering. We'll see if I remember it. Okay. Notice that the prompt changes to root at first droplet, or whatever the droplet's name is. I didn't give mine a name, so check that out. Well done, Stephen. But whatever. It doesn't really matter. You need to update your package repository and install Node.js and npm on the server. Okay, we'll do that. Sudo apt update, and that updates apt itself. Apt is basically my package manager on Ubuntu, and then we're going to curl. Okay, so we're going to install it right from this node source. I've seen that before. Node source setup. I've seen that before, and and that has worked before for me. It's a bit different, right? Because normally you just then apt install node, but this is actually going to create an install script for me. Now I'll install sudo apt install node.js. So the curl's basically just retrieved this file here and put it here. We'll actually see it here, right? Node source setup. So let's have a look at that. So just instructions for Debian on how to install Node. Quite a bit of stuff, and that's just to make sure that it installs correctly. So now let's install it. There we go. And of course we always want to continue. See the difference here, right, working with DigitalOcean as compared to working with Reclaim, is I'm basically creating a blank Ubuntu server and then installing Node. When I was doing it with Reclaim, I was creating a server with Node already installed, so I didn't have to do all of this. Of course, with Node already installed, it was all installed the way Gelastic does it, and that had all kinds of things that were a pain. All right. No VM, okay, no services need to be restarted, etc., etc., okay. And then we'll install npm, the Node package manager. And again, it's going to do the same thing. Do we want it to continue? Yes, indeed we do. All right, setting up the application on the Droplet server. So we'll make a directory for the app, make dir app, cd app. So that's, oh, we got to wait for it to finish installing first. Okay, make dir app, and then cd app. That's an interesting thing. Like, it's really different working with Node.js and something like Perl with an Apache server, right? Because the Node runs its own server. So you don't need a separate web server to run a Node server, which means basically you can put your app wherever you want. It doesn't have to be in a special subdirectory of the Apache server because it's not using the Apache server. So I'm going to put it in the directory right here once all of this is installed. It's taking a bit longer than I thought it might, but it said progress 5%. Wow. 10%, 11%. This is taking a long time. That's it. And this is why it's easier to do it on something like Reclaim, right? It's all done for you. First, the idea here is that we could set up a droplet with our configuration the way we want it, and then the next time, in theory, I suppose, I haven't tried this yet, we could just clone the droplet. I don't see why we couldn't do that. But it's interesting, we're not even using Docker or anything on this droplet. It's just running a Node server. Just a plain Node server. So, but that's okay. We're going step by step through this. We're up to 57% now. 60, whoa, now we're zipping along. That's the progress. It's never based by time. It's based by some other logic independent of time. All right. Daemon's using, wow. Which services should be restarted? Tab, yeah, and then enter. It's going to restart everything. All right, very nice. Okay. Now I'm going to make dear app. Oops, not make all dear. Make dear app. And then we're going to go to the app. Okay, now what? Come back to our instructions. Now we're going to clone the application from GitHub just the way we did it before. So I'll copy this. I assume Git's already installed. It is. Okay, so we'll clone it. So basically we're repeating the process in this droplet that we ran on the desktop earlier in this video. So looks like looks to me like the droplet's internet access speed slower than my own desktop computer. All right. And now we'll run npm install to get everything working. So let's have a look at this first. ls sample node. Okay, we're going to have to cd into sample node probably. Well, it didn't say to do that, did it? Okay. Did it say to do that? No, it didn't say to do that, but look, they actually have done that. They've CD'd into their sample node. Missing instructions. See, now I am where they are. And now what was it? npm install, right? Yeah. Now they're missing instruction. And it's the sort of thing really mess people up, right? Because they follow the instruction, they type npm install and nothing happens, and they don't know why it didn't work because they didn't say change directory to your application. All right, all the vulnerabilities. It's amazing how many vulnerabilities you can have for an application that's that simple. But okay, that's one of the issues with Node generally that I've found. All right, so now we're going to run our applet. So Node or nodemon we could do, but we probably don't have nodemon installed, right? Well, we'll just run it with node app.js, and it's listening on port 3000. So let's see if that's true. Let's go back to our droplet. Here's our IP, which we'll copy. No, don't call on numbers. Stupid program. Go to clipboard settings. Oh my goodness. All right, let's copy this. I hate when Windows tries to do things for me that I don't want it to do. And it always wants me to try to phone an IP address, and that's so annoying. All right, so here now. So here it is, and it should be on port 3000. And there it is, just like it should be. That makes me happy. All right. So we have our Node application successfully running in DigitalOcean. Lovely. And here it is. Okay. So I'm going to end this here. It's lunchtime. Maybe I need to reboot my computer. Who knows? But anyhow, this video's been an hour and a half. This is a pretty good place to stop. It's almost exactly at the halfway point on this page. So a couple of glitches getting here, but we probably didn't need to do all that stuff installing the Node application locally on my machine, but I get why we did it. And we'll probably come back to that in the second half. And I'm pretty sure what's going to happen in the second part is the whole, automating the production, setting up the load balancer, and running it under SSL. So the keys, the major glitches, well, the key glitch was the thing with the keys, right? And, they just sort of skipped over that step in the instructions, so I had to work my way through it. Fortunately, I've been getting better with these keys recently, so I was able to reason my way through it, and the trick is, two parts of the trick. First, use Windows Subsystem for Linux, although it would probably work on the terminal in Visual Studio Code if you correctly identify the location of your key. It almost certainly would. But using Windows Subsystem for Linux was the first part, and then the second part is knowing to type in the command SSH-I, the location of my key, and then root at and my IP. And it's interesting because I felt pretty comfortable doing that even on live video because only I have the key. Nobody else can just pop into my own droplet. So that's way better than a password for so many reasons. Anyhow, I'm going to wrap this up. Going to have some lunch, maybe reboot my machine. And then I'll pick up this video